All right, welcome back everyone. My name is Dustin, and in the last video we finished up on the Asteroids game. And now it's time to start adding in sounds. The games are really fun, however, sounds can really make the game 10 times better. The goal for this video is to create the music player and actually get some music going for our Asteroids game. We're going to be using SDL Mixer for our sounds. SDL Mixer is easy to use and for 2D games will be perfect for us. If we start getting into 3D stuff, we could probably switch over to OpenGameArt or Fmod. However, we're going to be using SDL Mixer for now. If we have to change it later, we will. So the first thing we're going to want to do is go over here to our releases, and we're going to want to get the SDL Mixer developer tools, but we want SDL2 Mixer Devel 2.6.3-VC or whatever one is the highest one when you watch this video. So let's just download that. All right, and once that is downloaded, we want to extract the files. We'll just extract it right here. And let's go inside here, and we're going to need a few things from in here. Since we already have SDL in our dependencies, we're just going to go and add it in. So go to your dependencies here, open up SDL, and go to your include. Let's go to this include, and it only has the mixer. Let's just copy that over. Paste, so now that we have the mixer in there, let's go back to our libs. Go back here, go back to the libs. And we only care about x64, and let's just copy all of this and put it in here. Cool. And then let's go back, copy this license here. And we're actually just going to change it a little bit. And we'll just say mixer. Copy that, bring it over, and put it in here. Okay. So that should be enough for getting SDL Mixer, and it's in our dependencies folder. Perfect. Now that we have the SDL Mixer library, we're going to want to go and create a new project and call it Scion Sound. So let's go do that now. So in your project here, go to your solution, add a new project. And it's just going to be an empty C++ project. And we're going to call this Scion Sounds and create. So inside of Scion Sounds, we're going to have a folder. We're going to go add new folder. We'll have a source folder. Then we'll add another folder. And this folder will be called Sounds. And then inside of Sounds, we're going to have 3 more folders. We're going to have the Essentials. Then we're going to have the Music Player and the Sound Player folders. Today, we're only focusing on the Music Player. But we might as well get it ready. And then Sounds, 1 more folder. And that's just the Sound Player. Cool. And then go to our properties for our project. And the first thing I want to do is make this a C++20 project and make this a static library. Okay, apply that. Cool. And while we're here, we might as well go to our VC directories and get the mixer. Dependencies, SDL, include. We'll just include all of SDL. Cool. And while we're here, we might as well add in the logger. And Scion utilities. Cool. All right. And we're going to get the libs. So go here, go to our library directories. And right now, I only care about SDL lib. Cool. And then we have to link our references. So add here, reference, and we're going to want to link utilities and the logger. All right. So now that we have our project and our folders, we need to add a simple struct that will hold all our sound parameters, and we'll just call this sound params. So what do all sounds need? They're going to need a name, a description. Well, description can be optional, a file name, and its duration. We can add more stuff as needed later, but that's what we're going to need now. So first, let's add a new file. It's a header file, and we'll just call it soundparams.h. And in here, we're just going to include string, and then namespace, Scion sounds, and then just struct sound params. And it's going to have a name, sd string, name, description, and file name. That's also going to have a double for duration. We don't really care about the duration right now, but it's something we will be using later. And if we need to add more parameters to this, we will. Okay. So now that we have our sound parameters, let's start making the music class. So we'll open up here in Essentials again, open up a new one, new header file, and it's just going to be music.h. Okay, so with the music class, we're going to have the sound params, but we're also going to have a music pointer. Now, the music pointer is going to be a type def wrapper around the mix music. So let's go to our SDL wrappers and add that in. I don't believe we have that yet. So we go here to our utilities, SDL wrappers. So we need to quickly add the wrappers for the SDL destroyer here for our custom deleter for the mix chunk and mix music. This will allow us to automatically clean up the data when we're not using them. So we'll just say operator, void operator SDL, or not even SDL. Sorry, we have to go up here. Let's include SDL mixer. And down here, we can go mix chunk pointer chunk const. Copy this and then have mixed music. Cool. Let's make these. All right, and this one is pretty straightforward. So it's just mix free chunk, and it takes the chunk. And then we just say std cout freed SDL mix chunk. And we can just copy this, go here, and instead of chunk, we want a free music. And this should be music. Change this as well. Cool. Go back here, change this to music. All right. So now that we have that, let's create those two type defs I was talking about. So type def std unique pointer for mixed chunk. And we need to take the Scion util SDL destroyer. And that will be our SoundFX pointer. And we'll have another one for music pointer. That's the one we care about right now. Change this to mix music. All right, let's move these over a bit. Awesome, so now we have little wrappers around this C pointer, and we can use this to automatically delete it for us whenever we get rid of the music pointer. Okay, so let's go back to our music class and start creating it. So first thing we're going to need is actually add in our Scion utilities, and we want our wrappers. And then we're going to include sound params. And here we're going to say namespace Scion sounds. And then this is our class, music. And we're going to have a couple private and public Now, a lot of people like to put the public at the top. I like the private at the top. That's just a thing that I like to do. But if you want to switch it around, that's up to you. There's no problem there. So some of our private are sound params, M params, and this will just be empty. Then we'll have a music pointer, and that's going to be our MP music. That'll be null pointer. Okay, so let's have our constructor, music constructor, and I'll take a const sound params reference params, and then also it'll take in a music pointer. Actually, we'll just say p music. I like that better. Cool. And then we'll have our destructor. That's just going to be default. And we're going to have a few functions, really easy functions here. And it'll just be inline const std string reference get name const return m params dot name. We're going to have a few here. Then it's going to be file name, description, and I think that's it for string, but we can have duration here. Change this, get duration. This is returning a float, or double, sorry. Duration is a double. Get description. Description. And get file name. Awesome. That should be pretty good for this for now. And we're going to need one more here. And it's going to be just to get the actual mix music pointer. So get music pointer const. Then we'll say if not mp music, just return null pointer, or return mp music get. All right, so let's make our constructor. Pretty straightforward. Okay, and that's just m params, takes in params. And this one, it's mp music. And because it is a unique pointer, we need to move the p music inside. Cool. There we go. All right, so that's our bare bones music class. It's pretty straightforward. If we need to add stuff to it later on, we will. But for now, let's start working on the music player. So let's go into our music player. Here, go add, new, and we'll say music player.h. And here we'll have namespace, Scion Sounds, class, music player, and public. Now right now we're not going to have any private variables, but we'll have the music player constructor, and we'll have the music player destructor. Then we're going to have void play, and this is going to take in a music reference. Now if you put class in front of it, this is like an inline forward declaration. And go int loops, and I have that default to 0. And then void will have pause, resume, stop, set volume, pause, resume, stop, set volume. And I'll take in an integer. And then a bool is playing. Not is player, is playing. There we go. All right, let's make all of this. That's good for now. Awesome. So let's go to our musicplayer.cpp. And I'd like to take that all out of there. So let's go namespace, Scion sounds. Okay, so now we actually want to add in our music so it knows what it is. Essentials, get our music. And then we also want to add in our logger. All right. So what are we going to do in the constructor here? We're going to actually open up the audio itself. So we're going to go if mix dot open audio 44100. That's for our frequency. And we're going to have just default format. So mix default format. And we're going to have how many channels? 2 for stereo. And then the chunk size, 4096. And then we want to check to see if it's equal to -1. Because if we highlight this real fast, right here, returns 0 if it's successful, -1 on error. So we want to see if it errors out. And then let's get that error, std error. Std error, std string error, mix get error. Then we want to go Scion error, unable to open STL music mixer. And let's take that error. Cool. And just return. Now this should probably throw here, but that's all right. Then Scion. Let's just see how many. Let's allocate some channels, and let's say Scion log channels allocated. And then in here we'll call mix allocate channels, and I'm going to say 16. Cool. This returns the number of channels that were allocated. So in here we want to go mix halt music, and then we want to say mix quit, and then just do a little check, Scion log music player close. So we're only going to worry about the play function in this video. So let's just get that going, okay? Because we still have a lot to do. We can add this other functionality after, but right now let's get it going so you guys know what else you have to do. So first thing we want to do is get to the pointer itself. So we go if not music dot get music pointer. So if we're sending back a null pointer, we want to check it and just return. So Scion error failed to play music. And let's put the name in here. Mix music was null. And then just return. And now we actually want to play the mix. So I go if mix play music dot get music pointer. Then we want to send in the number of loops, so we just send in loops. And we want to check to see if it's not equal to 0, because again, return 0 on success, -1 on error. And then we'll just get the error. We basically do the same thing. Copy this. All right, and then we'll just change this. Fail to play music. Mix error. And the first thing will just be music.getName, and then the error. So now that we have the music player started, we need to have a way to load the music into the asset manager. So let's go to the asset manager first and start to add that in. Up here into our core, resources, asset manager. So right down here, we need to add in another map for the music. So we'll create a map that takes a string for the key and shared pointer to the music. But first, let's add that in here. So let's go include sounds. slash, oh, we have to add sounds. So we got to go up here to our core properties. And we're going to have to add that in. We need to go to sounds, source, cool. Take this. Solution, dear. Okay. Then we also need to add it as a reference. And then our sounds. Cool. There we go. Sounds, essentials, music. All right. And then in here, we actually want to add in our SDL mixer again. So go here, librarian, SDL2 lib, and then SDL2 mixer.lib. Cool. And let's add our map. STD map, STD string, STD shared pointer of Scion sounds music, and it's going to be our M map music. Okay. Now we need to add in our getters, well, adders and getters. So we'll just do that down here at the bottom. Here, so we'll say bool add music. That's going to take in a const std string music name, then a const std string, and that's going to be the file path. Now file path. Cool. And we might as well add in our shared pointer, std shared pointer, Scion sounds music, and get music. Now I'm returning a shared pointer for these because I was getting an error that I was returning a local variable when I was returning a reference as a variable. It was working before fine, but this way I think it would be better because then we'll just have null pointer and we can just deal with null from there. So let's add these in. Cool. Let's go to our add music. So adding in the music is pretty straightforward. The first thing we want to do is check to see if the music is already in the map. If it is, just return false. Otherwise, create it and add the music in. Okay, so we just go if and map music dot find music name is not equal to m map music dot end. That means we already have it. So we'll just say Scion error failed to add music already exists. And then we'll just do the name, so music name. And then just return false. Otherwise, now we want to create a mix music pointer, and we do that with mix load music. So let's do that now. So we go mix music pointer, and we'll just call this music. Actually, we'll call that, yeah, we'll call it music. Sure. Mix load music file path dot c string, because that takes in a const char pointer. And now we want to check to see if music is null pointer. So I go if not music. Then we want our error, std string error mix get error. Scion error failed to load at path mixer error. So that'll be music name, file path, and our error. And return false. Cool. And then once we get here, we want to actually create our music pointer. So go auto music pointer is equal to std make shared Scion sounds music. That'll take in our params, and it will take in a music pointer music. Oh, we didn't create our params yet. Sorry about that. So let's just create the music pointer. Create the music pointer. And we have to create the sound parameters first. So create the sound parameters. Cool. And then so we go Scion sounds sound params. And we're going to say the name is equal to music name. The file name is equal to file path. And then the duration is equal to mix music duration. And that takes in a music pointer. Cool. That doesn't get that there. Let's make this a bit bigger. Cool. All right, there's our params. Awesome. Don't know why that does that. Cool. So now that we made it a music pointer, we want to check to see if it's null pointer. So if not music pointer, let's copy the error. And get rid of all of this except for this. Failed to create the music pointer for. Cool. And return false. Otherwise, now we want to go and add it to our map. And map music dot in place music name std move music pointer. And then if we made it all the way here, return true. Awesome. All right, so getting the music is a little bit easier. All we have to do is check the map to see if it exists. If it exists, we return it. If it doesn't exist, we return null pointer. So in here, let's just do this. Auto music iter. So we're going to get an iterator m map music dot find music name. Then we go if music iter is equal to the end. We're going to want to set an error. Scion error failed to get does not exist. And that's just music name. Awesome. And it'll just return null pointer. And if it does, we want to return the music iterator second. Cool. And that's it. So since we're already here, let's add that in here. So we'll go, we need to bind a way to add it in because I don't want to hard code it. So we might as well do it here. So add music. This is in our AssetManager Lua bind here. And we're going to say, take in a reference, std string, reference music name, std string, reference file path. File path. All right. And then that is just return asset manager, add music, music name, file path. Awesome. Okay, so we're basically ready now, but now we actually have to make some bindings to actually get the player bound to Lua. Because we don't want to, nothing, remember, we don't want to do anything from the actual engine. Everything has to be told to be done inside of Lua. So we need to go here to our scripting. Instead of scripting, let's make a new file. Here we'll call it sound bindings. Soundbindings.h. All right, so this one's going to be pretty easy to do. First, we just want to go include sol.hpp. Now we can say namespace Scion4. Then we can say forward declare our registry, namespace ECS class registry. Cool. Actually, let's just do that all in one. So let's just forward declare our registry so we have it. Why is it not liking sol? Include sol. There we go. Sorry, guys. Then we go namespace Scion core scripting. At least I believe that's what we've been calling it. Let's go back here. Yeah, Scion core scripting. And then here I just want to have a struct sound binder. And that's just going to have this one static void create sound bind. That's going to have a sol state reference, Lua. And it's going to take a Scion core ECS registry reference. The registry. Cool. Let's create this. And we're going to have to include a few things. Let's include our registry, ECS, registry. Let's include our asset manager. Let's include our music player. And let's include our logger. So the first thing I'm going to want to do is actually get the music player from the registry. We're going to hold the music player in the registry, and this should all be done on the initialization. You should always be creating a music player when you initialize your application. So we should already have one there. So we go auto reference music player is equal to registry.getContext std shared pointer, and that's going to be our music player. Okay. And let's add in a few usings. So using namespace Scion sounds and using namespace Scion resources. Cool. All right, so now we want to check to see if we get the music player. So if not music player, we want to have an error. Scion error. Failed to bind the music player to Lua, not in the registry. Registry. And then we'll just return from here. We don't want to keep going. Okay. And if it is, let's get the asset manager. So auto reference asset manager is equal to registry get context std shared pointer asset manager. Do the same thing, check to see if we get the asset manager. So if not asset manager, another error, Scion error, failed to bind the music player to Lua. Asset manager does not exist in registry. Now, it should never get to here. We should already have that all set up inside of our initialization. However, it's always good to put in some extra checks just in case. So now that we're here, let's start our new Lua user type. So Lua.new user type, music player, and that is music. So no constructor. No need to have more than one music player. Then play. That'll have it be a lambda, takes in a reference. SC string, reference, music name, then int loops. Now we could do an overload here. So go sol overload. That'll have two different lambdas inside that it can choose from. And one will take in the number of loops, and the other one, it'll just loop for infinity. So if nothing is provided, it'll just be -1. So music, name, that's it. And then here, we'll say music player, play, music name, -1. Oh, there I go, so silly. Not music name. So we need to get the music first, right? So I need to go auto music is equal to asset manager get music. That takes in the music name. Sorry. Then I want to see if the music, because we're returning a shared pointer here, so we want to see if the music is actually null or not. So if not music, I want to say Scion error failed to get music from, let's put the name of the music here, from the asset manager. That'll be the music name. And then just return. We don't want to keep trying to play. However, if we do, we want to go music player play dereference music, and then we want to send in the loops for this one. Let's copy this here, put this here. So if we don't send in anything but the name, loops will default to -1. So that means it's going to play forever. Awesome. Put all the other stuff in as well. So our sol overload. Let's go bring it down 1, comma. There should be another one here with this, that, I believe. Yep. But we're not ready for that, so let's put in our stop. That's also going to take in this. It's not going to have any parameters. And we can just say music player stop. And we can copy this for the resume and the pause, or pause and resume. Pause, pause, resume, resume, set volume. This takes in an int for volume. Music player, set volume. And one more for is playing. Is playing. And then this one capture a reference because we're using the music player. And this returns music player is playing. All right. And that should be good. Now, these aren't going to do anything for now because we haven't filled those out. So that's actually going to be a challenge for you guys at the end, is to try to go fill those out. We'll talk about that at the end of the video. Okay, cool. So now that we have our binding and everything, let's just try to build to see versus build and debug. All right, so it looks like we have some errors, but obviously it didn't show. Okay. So it's saying it cannot see this, and I swore we added that in. All right, so that one was hard to find. The problem was we're actually having the editor as our startup program. So the editor also references the core, but the editor has no idea what the music is. So it's trying to include the music. So all I did was go to the editor and I added the music, or Scion Sounds here in our editor parameters, Scion Sounds. And then I had to add it in as a reference as well. Add reference Scion Sounds in our editor as well. Okay. So now when it runs, it'll actually build and run. But we end up getting an error here. Awesome. So you see we get this error here. So it's missing the SDL mixer.dll, and that's in our Scion editor executable. Okay. So what we need to do is go to our dependencies, our SDL, libs, and we want to copy this mixer DLL. Copy that. Go into our editor and just paste it in there, and it should run. Awesome. So it runs like before. Now we don't have any music yet, so let's get that going. Okay, so now that we have our bindings and everything, we need to actually go call our bindings in our script system. So let's go do that now. Do we have that open? No, we do not. So over here in our core, go to scripting, not scripting, sorry, systems, script system. And right here, we're going to want to include our scripting. And then this is going to be our sound bindings. Cool. And then down here, anywhere here is good. So we can just go Scion 4. If I could type, scripting, sound binder, create sound bind. That's Lua. And it's going to take in the registry. Awesome. All right, so that's for the core. Now we have to go and add that in our application here for our editor. So up here at the top, let's add in our sound. So add sounds. So we want to go include sounds, and I want the music player. And in our initialize, we're going to want to add in our music player. And we'll just do it right before the camera. We could probably remove that. But anyway, we'll just put it right here. So we'll go auto music player is equal to std make shared Scion Sounds music player. Then we want to check to see if we actually created a music player. And if not, Scion error. Fail to create the music. Let's put capitals. Music player. And then return false. This is what I mean by we'll have a music player all the time because we're going to be creating one. And if it doesn't, we won't allow it to initialize. Okay, so once we have the music player, let's add it to the registry. So if mp registry, add to context, std shared pointer, of Scion Sounds, music player, and we're going to want to send in the music player. Okay. And if that doesn't work, we want to copy this basically. This should say return false, sorry. Copy this. And then we're going to say fail to add the music player to the registry context. Cool. Now it should work. And let's just try to run it again. Awesome. See, so fail to add the music player to the registry context. Good. Because that should be if not. Okay. You guys probably caught that already, so let's run it again. Awesome. So our game's playing. Now we have to go and add that in. Okay, so I actually removed the game from the assets here. It's no longer in our editor. It's removed into its own folder. So we have to go and access it that way. It's in the games folder here, so we can add more games as we develop more. So what we're going to want to do is games, asteroids, scripts, asteroids, and we're going to want to go into our asset defs. Now this is just opening it up in Visual Studio Code here. And we're going to want to have a new table. So the new table, we're going to say music. Inside here, we're basically going to have the same stuff. So let's just copy this here. We're not going to need pixel art. We'll get rid of that. Okay, so we get rid of the pixel art. All we're going to need is the name and the path. Okay. And we're going to need some music. So I have some music that I had previously. And what I'd like to do is in our scripts, let's go back here to, instead of just textures, I'm going to make a new one, new folder, and we'll call it sounds. And inside of sounds, I'm going to have music. I'm going to paste this in. Now these are two files that I got. I got both of these files off of OpenGameArt, and that's what we're going to use. Okay. So let's get our path, sounds, music. That's the path. And we don't care, we only want that, the relative path. Okay. So here, we'll go add that in. Change this to the other way. And the first one we're going to put in is space.wave. Cool. So now that we have that, now we need to load the music asset in. So it's basically the same thing. Now we want to go through the music table that we just created. So we want to go for K, V in pairs, asset defs dot music do. Then we just go end, and in here we can go if not AssetManager dot add music, and that's going to take in our v.name that we put in. Oh, let's change this as well, not to ship. Let's change this to space. Copy and paste problems, people. v.name and v.path. That's set in. So if not that, we're just going to want to print an error. Print failed to load music. v.name at path v.path. Cool. Else, we're going to print loaded music. That should be just to load, sorry. Failed to load, and this one will just be the loaded music. We don't care about the path if we loaded it correctly. And then end. All right, let's run it and see if we loaded the music correctly. So we actually have to go back to go back to here and run it. Okay, so we got some fails, which is fine. Right here. So an asset def 17, expected to close line near 2. Okay. Yes, this needs to have a comma because they're not separate. So this is a new table inside of this table. So I have to put a comma there. Should be able to run it. Awesome. See, loaded music. Cool. So now let's play the music. Okay. So now in our scripts, right here, we'll just open up the main script. So main.lua. Right? Oh yeah. And so this main.lua is different than what you guys have because of where I did it. I moved it all out, so it's its own thing, and we're actually now calling this file from the main.lua in the editor. So this is actually different. So we have our asset defs. I can still actually access the main.lua file in the editor. So let's open that up. I had to change this in order to separate it. So here in our editor, assets, scripts, I can still access main.lua. So what's happening here is I'm running our script list and I'm running this main.lua over here. This main.lua here will load our scripts, load our assets, load our background, and then make all this stuff for us. And then it has this function run asteroids. And then this will run it all for us, okay? Just so you guys know that. So if I go back here, this is just going to run the asteroids game for us. Now, we could put it in here, but we're just going to put it here. So we're just going to go music. Actually, you know what? Yeah, let's go music.play. And we're going to say space. And it should be loaded and it should play. Let's see what happens. Awesome. So we got the music playing now. And it worked. So we still need to add in sound effects and other things like that, but this is working for now. So we got the music playing, it's playing in our game. So that's how we do the wrappers for the SDL mixer. That's it for this video. So there's a little challenge for you guys right now. We already created our music player. Why don't you try to add in these functions here for our music player? Go in and try to fill these out to the best of your ability. Open up the SDL mixer documentation and see if you can get it to go. See if you can get it to stop and play, do different things like that, okay? And then try to make a sound effects class. So here in your sounds, so we have our music class, try to make a sound effects class as well with a sound effects pointer and stuff like that. Try to do the bindings, do everything in the core, see what you can do. Do the same thing. Finish it for the music player and then add in the sound effects and the sound player. That's a little challenge for you. Till next video, I'll go over it in the next video. If you have any questions or comments, concerns, anything, leave it in the comments below. I'll make sure to get back to you. All right, take it easy, guys.